Tommy, what have you done?
Case, I went out and bought the best car in the world, and in today's video, I'm going to convince you why. Case, what do you think of my new ride?
I think it makes you look like an oligarch.
Or like the head of an oil company.
Yeah, and it's two-tone so that all the peasants know.
So this is a 1984 Mercedes-Benz 300 SD. What's the chassis code for this car?
It's a 126.
So these cars were manufactured from the late 70s all the way up to 1991, and they built a shocking number of these sedans when you consider this was the peak of Mercedes luxury. How many did they make?
They made around 800,000 of them, which is quite a lot. But it's kind of funny, Tommy, that this is the one that you went for, because I don't feel like this is usually the Mercedes that comes to mind when people think, I'm gonna buy a vintage Mercedes.
That's a great point, Case, and I hope in this video I can kind of explain my reasoning, but I personally think that this version of the 126, the 300 SD, is the one to buy because of that phenomenal engine under the hood. So Case, walk us through what's powering this yacht.
Well, you've got a very clattery 5-cylinder turbo diesel.
Full throttle, 46, 47, 48, 49. Yeah, this is a car not known for its acceleration, but it is a car known for lasting 1,000 years. So 5 cylinders, kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not the smoothest diesel.
No, when you're at idle...
My leg is shaking.
Yeah, this engine sounds like a 1970s John Deere lawn tractor. Genuinely, it is that clattery. And then once you're underway, it smooths out, and then once you hit about 2,300 RPM and that turbo hits, okay, I wouldn't describe it as fast, but it is very smooth.
You just better hope that you don't have to spend a lot of time idling, because it might even make you numb how much you shake around.
Now, I think this car could probably use a set of motor mounts in it, but 0 to 60 time in this car, when new, right around 14.5 seconds. So not a quick car, but this 5-cylinder diesel, interestingly enough, a US only option, according to the Mercedes-Benz Heritage site.
Strange.
And they will last, properly maintained, until the end of time, because there is nothing electronic on this engine.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. All mechanical. We love that. Similar to your 123 you used to have.
Yeah, this is called the OM617. OM stands for oil motor, essentially, or diesel in German. And these are the engines that, you know, in some taxi cabs abroad will last 500,000 miles, 750,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles. They are just understressed, overbuilt steel lumps that will not die.
Well, the motor definitely is, but what about the rest of the car? What happens if you get it wet? Is it going to turn into a pile of red dust?
You know, there is the potential. And that's the funny thing about these cars, right? Is people look at these 1980s Mercedes, and they are rightly known as kind of being the cockroach of cars, and that they will always get you home. But everything attached to that engine does have the potential for failure. So let's talk about vacuum systems.
Oh,
because so much of these 126s are vacuum controlled. Go ahead and watch what happens when I push that door lock in.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right?
It's just like mine.
The power of suction, transmission, vacuum controlled.
Oh, really? That's great.
The blend doors in the dashboard, vacuum controlled. And my favorite, even the engine shut off is vacuum controlled. So if
you're having vacuum trouble.
If you're having vacuum trouble, you spring a leak, sometimes the engine won't shut off, and then you have to actually pop the hood, and there's like a manual button that you push to kill the engine.
Shows how reliable it is. The bigger issue is not getting it started, it's getting it to shut off.
Exactly, they just will not stop running. So it's worth noting that, like, from a longevity standpoint, the stuff that you need to get you home, the engine, the transmission, the driveline, the brakes, the suspension, are all indestructible. The rest of the car, from your experience, even owning old Mercedes, maybe not so much, right?
Yeah, and two, these Mercedes are getting to an age where it can be a little hard to find parts for them. But I have to document this.
Yeah, it's a diesel case.
We can get your hood vibration.
Yeah, it's got a little shake to it.
My phone stabilization is trying to smooth it out, but it's not smooth.
No, it does. It's got a little bit of a lope at idle. And look, this car's got 78,000 miles on it, and
it's not bad.
The engine has been, checked over by a diesel mechanic, and like it's operating like it should. It's just a 5-cylinder mechanically injected diesel. There's always going to be a little bit of a rumble at idle.
Do you have a thermometer?
Yeah, it's in Celsius only.
Oof. What?
So this is a US market car, but I think up through 1986, from what I was reading on the historical pages, they only displayed in Celsius. And then finally, like in 86, 87, the US cars got Fahrenheit. Same thing with the climate controls. Look at that. Look,
yeah.
I set my automatic climate control. I want it at 23 Celsius. What is that in burger units?
Oh, man, I don't even know. How am I supposed to do that conversion in my head?
Same thing with oil pressures and bar.
People are going to give us so much grief about complaining about Celsius.
They sure are.
Yeah.
So, guys, how would you describe this interior?
It's good. It's comfortable. And the thing I like about interiors on Mercedes-Benzes of this era is that they're actually pretty durable. These are durable fabrics. These interiors don't usually show their age the way that most other cars will.
So this is a material called MB-Tex on these seats.
Indestructible.
Kind of like a synthetic leather, and will be here longer than the pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of these cars that have like 250,000 miles, and the dashes will be destroyed and nothing will work on the inside, and the seats will look brand new.
What's up with your mirror adjustments?
So I've got a manual mirror adjustment on the driver's side.
And then I got to push on it over there?
No, I've got a little toggle.
Oh, it's power on one side?
Power mirror.
Wow. I feel robbed.
How German is that? Power mirror. No, I mean the interiors in this car, right? Lots of wood.
Yeah.
And everything you interact with feels quality. Like these little whack-a-mole push buttons that change the location of the airflow. Feels like that's going to last forever. The little sunroof control. Listen how quiet the sunroof is when you open it.
Luxury.
Luxury.
And you've got some nice trim even in the opening for the sunroof.
Yeah, and the reason they did that is because they put the sunroof motor in the trunk.
Yeah, to make the car so quiet.
Yeah, and it actually works. Like, it's a very well insulated car. We're cruising along, or we were, at 50 miles an hour. Like we are having a conversation like it's nothing.
It is quiet on the inside, I'll give you that.
And then you come to an idle and you put the window down.
It's a hilarious idle.
Isn't that so funny? That's so funny.
It sounds like a tractor, Tommy.
Full throttle case. There's 10. 20, there goes the turbo.
And the 2.7 liter Ford Ranger is just walking away from you at quarter throttle.
And we are killing some mosquitoes out the rear window as well. These are not cars that I think are, maybe we would say, particularly environmentally friendly by modern standards, because they don't have the emissions equipment that modern cars have, but that's part of the reason that they last so long, right?
Well, they're environmentally friendly in the sense that you don't have to manufacture a new one to replace it.
Good point.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
This car is perfectly good.
The first part of that is going to be reduce, reuse, and recycle. And these cars do all of that pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Ride quality case, pretty comfy.
Oh, it's amazing. Half of your suspension is in the seats, but there's a lot of suspension in the car, too.
That's a good point, yeah.
So are you happy with your purchase?
Dude, I'm so happy, and we'll include some clips now of what it was like buying this car, how much I paid for it, and then you guys can let me know if I did well or if I made a really bad decision. But overall, the reason I love these cars, big, comfortable, luxurious, and they simply will always get you home. And that's just not something you can say about every classic car, right?
I think it's cool, Tommy. I don't know if it's the best car ever made, but I dig it.
All right, well, let us know what you think. As always, it's been Tommy and Case.
Yep.
Head over to alltfl.com. We'll see you in the next video. So Jordan.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So this is your 1984 300 SD. So talk to me about this car. Why'd you end up buying this thing?
I love Mercedes. I love the classic Mercedes, and I love the engine. The OM 617 is about the best engine in the world, and I love diesels. So what better option than this?
So what's the story behind this car? Can you tell me about like where it came from? Do you know any of the history behind it?
Yes, so it was imported from Germany. It was a European delivery. Originally one owner in California, so he drove it out there for a while and had it imported to the United States, and stayed in California and Nevada its whole life until I bought it here.
One thing I'm noticing right away, it's got these Euro style headlights. What is that, because he took delivery in Germany?
Yes, yep. I've never seen another one in the United States with Euro headlights. So yes, he took a European delivery, so they had to put the Euro headlights in there, and then they just gave him the American ones, and he never put them in. And I think that was a good decision because I like the Euro ones a lot more.
Do you have the American headlights?
I do have the American headlights.
Cool.
They're in the trunk.
I've never actually opened the hood on a S-Class, the 126. So can you show me how to do it?
Yeah, so it is a little funky. So instead of having a normal pull in the grill, which they went to a little later, they got 2 clips on each side, and you have to push on both of them, and then it pops right up.
Oh, crazy. And I see too, like you've got the service mode.
Yep.
Raise it up. So super cool. So walk me through what's right and wrong with the engine. Like, what have you had to do to this car?
Pretty much nothing. I mean, I've had the valves adjusted, or I did that myself. A super easy process, just pull the valve cover off and had that done, and within a couple hours, changed the oil on it. And other than that, the thing runs exactly like it should from the factory. No blow by. It's excellent.
Do you mind if we start it up?
Go for it.
Oh yeah.
Starts right up.
So what Jordan was talking about is there's like a really basic test you can do on these old diesels where you loosen the oil cap, and then if this goes flying off, there's a good shot your engine's gonna need some work because it's got a lot of piston ring blow by.
A lot of the rings are gone on it, but if the cap doesn't go anywhere, you know you're in good shape.
Walk me through, Jordan, the inside. Like what works, what doesn't? Have you had to replace anything?
The only thing I've had to do on the interior is the rear window slide on the passenger rear door. That's a super common failure because Mercedes, in all their brilliance, decided to put plastic clips on the sliders instead of metal or something a little more that can handle the age a little better. But not a hard process. Just pull the door panel off and replace the clip, and it's good to go again. So just one of the very many quirks of these old Mercedes.
Nice. And I'm noticing like the wood is shockingly nice. Like, have you had to replace any of the interior trim?
The only wood trim I had to replace is the one over there by the shifter.
Okay.
And I had to replace that with a factory wood, and the other one wasn't even that bad. Just had a minor crack in it, and I thought, I don't want to live with that, so we're gonna make it look nice, because the rest of the car looks so good. I want it to all look as good as it can.
Well, let's check out the back. I noticed there was like a little dent over here on the roof. Do you know what happened there?
Yes, the original owner dropped something on his garage, and thankfully it didn't damage the paint, but it did put a nice dent inside the C-pillar, which is very unfortunate for all involved, and not something that's been worth my time to repair, because I actually don't really mind it all that much. So, but that is the one unfortunate thing with it.
So this car's super clean, Jordan. Why are you looking to sell it?
Well, I need the money for another project now. So
also Mercedes related?
No, I've jumped off the Mercedes train for now. I think I'll be back again though.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so. But I got myself a new truck, and that's going to have to deal with it for now.
Take precedent. Oh, you even have the little sticker.
Yep, the original tire pressure stickers on it. Yes.
Super cool. Let's check out the trunk too while we're back here. So you've got
the original American headlights that I don't believe have ever been used.
Okay.
And then that's the original trim piece on the column that I took out.
Oh yeah, okay, very cool.
And then a couple other miscellaneous pieces and parts here and there, and then the spare tires underneath the cover here, and then there's a fire extinguisher and factory hazard triangles as well. So
very cool. Let's go into drive. Okay, this is a little loose, very common Mercedes issue. The shift bushings wear out, so probably going to have to replace those. Not the end of the world, but something worth noting. And let's see what this boat drives like. Now these cars, I've owned a couple old Mercedes now, and one of my favorites was an 82 300D W123, basically the predecessor to the E-Class. So I'm very aware with how these cars should and shouldn't drive. I've driven a bunch of them. And they should be soft but not floaty. If they're really floaty, it usually means suspension. If they're banging or crashing, it usually means suspension components like bushings are on their way out. Onto the main road. There goes the turbo, 2,500 RPM, shifts at 3,500, full throttle. Rev it out, nice. Doesn't seem to be rolling coal. That's another problem with these old cars. There's 45 miles an hour. Let's bring it up to speed, 50. 55 miles an hour, no shakes, no rattles. I can try the cruise control. Yep, that It seems to work. That's holding me at 55, so that's good. That's also vacuum controlled. I think it is. Yeah, all good. Heat is a little weak. That's one thing I'm noticing right now, is it doesn't have that much heat. It could be like an auxiliary water pump. Could be a problem with the heater core. That's kind of a bummer, especially because we're in the middle of winter now in Colorado. So might need to get that looked into. But car runs, drives, looks great. I think I'm going to make the guy an offer. Let's see if we can get this old Mercedes. So Jordan, what are you asking for this 84 Mercedes?
I'm asking 13 for it.
Well, I think it's a really nice car. There's a couple things like any old Mercedes that can be addressed.
Yeah, a lot of quirks.
And I think like 2 months ago, you would be right on the money, but like the market's come down a little. So would you do like 11 and a half?
It's not quite what I'm looking for, but you think you can come up to 12 for me?
Yeah, we can do 12.
Cool.
That
Let's
sounds
do
good.
it. Excellent.
All right, buddy, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming to look at it.
Let's go see what Case thinks.
Yeah, excellent.